Hey everybody, welcome to day 2 of Breakfast with Bob from Challenge Daytona and the PTO 2020 Championship. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Captiva Spine, John Hall Chevrolet, USA Triathlon, Foundation Risk Partners, and the PTO, the Pro Triathletes Organization, ranked number 2 on the PTO ranking, Mr. Alistair Brownlee, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Alistair, how the hell are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be here in Florida, and I'm looking forward to racing.
We figured Florida would be warm. What the heck?
I know, I don't know what's happening the last few days. I've been here a few weeks now, and a couple of weeks ago it was really warm and humid, and this morning it's like being at home. It's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 degrees Celsius and really cold.
So right now you're not on the Olympic team for the UK. What the hell? You're a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, defending. Do you have to qualify?
Yeah, so the Olympics obviously were delayed from this year, 2020, into next year, 2021. When the pre-qualification was going on in 2019,
yes.
As you know, I was running around trying to race Ironman distance races along, which I guess didn't give the selectors a chance to select me, and rightly so. You can't select me for the Olympics off, watching me walk around at Kona and the other things I was doing. But then I kind of switched back after the race I did in Western Australia at the end of 2019 to focus on the short stuff. And the plan was to race well to qualify for the Olympics in early 2020. And I guess the delay has hopefully given me a bit more time now.
So would you go for another Olympics after that? Or are you thinking this will be, if you make this team, this will be it?
Yeah, if I was to make this one, this would be definitely the last Olympics, yeah.
So yesterday interviewing Javi Gomez, and he said, seriously, one of the greatest races I ever had, I didn't win. The 2012 London Games was the perfect triathlon, right? If the crowds were huge, everything was wonderful. Alistair was better on the day. He ran low 29s on a legitimately measured course off the bike, and he goes, hey, I ran 29s as well, and the guy beat me. Do you look at that race the same way? It was just like, this was a perfect race.
Yeah, it was a perfect race for me. I knew kind of 6 weeks going into it, I was in super form, and I'd got better and better form. And there's not many days you wake up just kind of excited because you're going to win the race. And that day I did. And that's kind of not me at all. And everything went, swim, bike, run went perfectly. And that run on a legitimate course and kind of walking the last bit, 29:07, I think it was. I still think that's probably one of the quickest runs there's been in triathlon.
No question.
And just to basically duke it out with Javi for most of that run in front of, hundreds of thousands of people, the biggest crowd I've certainly ever seen, and I think probably triathlon might ever see in a home country Olympics was really, really special.
And Johnny has a penalty, but then you're there at the finish when he comes in and gets the bronze. And that's the toughest thing, is winning. Winning in Olympics is one thing. Winning on your home turf when everybody's not just depending, expecting. Was there more pressure in that race than any race you've ever had? Yeah,
in terms of pressure and coping with that, it's all been downhill since there. It's
right,
been easy.
It's been gravy, right? It's like, hey, I won the gold medal when everybody in my country was wanting me to win.
Yeah, the kind of change going into 2012 was incredible. All of a sudden triathlon in the UK went from a sport where most people hadn't heard of to, I was going into the shop to buy a pint of milk, and people were saying, oh, you're looking forward to the Olympics. We can't wait to see you win and beat that Spanish guy. And, just crazy. People who had no idea about triathlon, to the point where Johnny and me were jogging around the Olympic at Hyde Park in London where the race was a couple of days before the race. And there's, massive posters of us up everywhere, and just this, and people walking around. We couldn't even run because people were asking us for photos and stuff. So we had a crowd out on our kind of easy warm-up runs. It was crazy, and so the pressure was enormous, and thankfully in lots of ways lucky that the body and everything was in great shape, and I knew I couldn't be in better physical shape, so all I had to do is go out there and kind of execute.
Did you always have the feeling that you'd get through Olympics and start thinking about the longer distance? Was that always in the back of your head?
I was always going to do longer distance racing. Yeah, in the early days when I was actually first getting into triathlon as as an 8-year-old, and so we're talking kind of the mid to late 90s. And I had an uncle who was doing triathlon. He was doing Ironman at the time, so I knew right away. He was doing Lanzarote, but I knew right away that about Kona and about the kind of the heroes of the sport, going back a bit further. So it was always very much on my radar, and a matter of kind of when and not if.
And so when you had that opportunity to really, because when you qualified, the swim was canceled. You end up going to Kona. It was really your first Ironman, and it wasn't the experience you wanted. You didn't finish where you wanted to, but you got a flats, and it reminded me a lot of Jan Frodeno's first time there, right? The guy flatted, he got a penalty, he ended up running in the transition and having the wrong outfit on, running back in. So he basically made some mistakes. For you, getting the flat and riding really hard to bridge, do you think that sort of killed the day in terms of your run?
I think there was a combination of things. Yeah. You want to prepare as well as you can, and experience is a funny, movable beast, isn't it? You try and learn everything you can, and you can be a bit arrogant in ways like that. And at the end of the day, I've spent a whole career telling myself this is just a triathlon. It doesn't matter whether it's the Olympic Games or some local race. I'm diving into the water, I'm doing a triathlon, and I'm finishing, and Kona was no exception. I think, obviously the flat didn't help. I think there was other things around that. I think physically I was probably in the position to race pretty well. There's just a few other, maybe the finishing bits I needed to put together, which then in the month after that I kind of got right and put together, and that's why the race in Western Australia was so much better. I think obviously had I kind of known what I knew then for Kona, I think it could have been quite a different outcome.
So you go to Bustleton on basically a year ago this weekend, and you go like 7:45. You break the course record by 6 minutes. And did it feel like you were racing in an ITU race? One of those things where you felt like, man, I could go further.
I wouldn't have liked to have gone a lot further, but it did. It felt amazingly easy. The swim and bike were just pretty relaxed, and until I got into the last 10 or 15k on the run, felt like I was kind of doing a training run. So that race was completely different experience, and it was down to, I guess, me knowing a bit more about how to race, pacing, nutrition mostly, and really nailing those.
So Johnny's racing here as well, and this is a step up for Johnny. This is a long distance for him. We're talking almost a 50-mile bike and a little over 11-mile run. I heard he's been training really, really well. What do you think?
Yeah, Johnny's in great shape, and I think it's really good that he's doing something different. He's had a whole career now since 2010, so over a decade of pretty much sole focus on ITU, and I think it's really good for him to do some different stuff. And so I was trying to be positive and encourage that, even though it might make it harder for me. But I think he's in really good physical shape. I think he's enjoyed and kind of stepped up to preparing for the challenges that he hasn't faced before. Time trial bike, long even effort bike, and the nutrition around that. And I think especially I think physically he's in great shape to have a really good result for him. Don't want to bang on about it, but it'll be just getting that nutrition right and making sure that means he can race for 3 hours.
So having good place for him would be a place behind you.
Obviously, yeah.
Have you been out on the track yet?
I haven't been on the track yet, no. Could have ridden that yesterday, but I don't know. There's not a lot to see, is there?
No.
It is literally the least technical course of all time.
Ever. And when you think about the way you race ITU races, it's almost like a criterium, the way you guys accelerate and back off and accelerate and back off. And for this is a full-on in the bars for 50 miles. Have you been doing a bunch of that, more time trial work, getting ready for this? Yeah,
I've done a lot of time trial work. Kind of about 6 weeks ago, I started kind of pivoting to more riding my time trial bike more, getting comfortable on it. I'm quite lucky that normally my kind of ability to, I guess, produce power translates quite well from my road bike to my TT bike. But the thing that I was worried about in this race, like you say, like even more than any Ironman I've done, it really, you don't want to move out of your aero position for that entire, however long the bike's going to be, hour 40 or something.
Right.
And so that, that is quite challenging, and I don't think anyone's quite ever done a race quite like that before. So yeah, I think done quite a lot of work, and that's why we came out to Florida a bit earlier as well, to spend some time on some really flat, straight roads to try and spend as much time in that position as we could. And yeah, hopefully we're well prepared for that.
And the mixture here of other ITU athletes, you got Henry Schoonman, you got Javier Gomez, you got yourself, Johnny, and then you've got Lionel Sanders and a bunch of the Ironman, Sebastian Kienle, a bunch of the Ironman guys. You like that mixture of athletes, sort of a middle distance?
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I think I said to you last year when we were in Nice that it's almost like this distance has become the most competitive distance in triathlon world.
It really is.
And I think
because you can race it.
You can race it. You can come up and race it. I guess like lots of the guys are doing, and I've done. The last 3 races I've done have been sprint races. So and you can come down and race it. And actually, the bike being like this with 20-meter drafting probably brings a little bit more into the some of the Ironman guys than it would do if it was a more technical bike, etc. So
right.
I think this is going to be a really good, interesting format this weekend for the crossover of guys from kind of every different part of the sport.
So there's going to be a lot of people watching this all over the world. The TV package is going to be huge, and you're one of those guys who gives back to the sport. And I think there's 30,000 kids through the Brownlee Foundation who now know this sport and are definitely watching this weekend to see how you and Johnny do. Does that help you in terms of just the fact that you know that this is a very selfish sport, and some things, swim, bike, run is great, but there's other kids out there who are learning about this sport from you and from Johnny, and watching you on this huge stage could do tons for them. Yeah,
it's really nice and a positive thing. I think both of us see it as part of what we do and what we should do. It's a kind of we're very, very fortunate to have made a career out of triathlon.
Yeah.
Very literally childhood dreams for us. And so we've got some form of obligation to, in the position we are, to be able to inspire and encourage other young people to have the opportunity to do triathlon if they wish. So that's a fantastic position to be in, and we're very lucky, and it's important to remind ourselves of that sometimes.
Probably the ultimate finish for you when you talk about Rio, when you win gold and Johnny gets silver, that'd be pretty good to hear.
Yeah, that's basically what I want in any race. Yeah.
Yeah. Gold, silver, and who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Love it, Alistair. As always, thank you for taking time and chatting. I love what you do with the foundation. You're bringing kids into our sport, and I could see. What's great about this venue is, and I'm sure you see it as well, you could be doing races all week long. You don't have to worry about blocking off roads. Mm-hmm. You could have kids races. We could be doing running events, cycling events, everything. This sort of whole idea of a festival is something that could be the future of our sport. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. No, I think I'm very much for like inclusion and kind of diversity of events. If if someone wants to do a 5K run, they can do that. If someone wants to do a swim bike, they can do that. If you're 6 years old and you want to do a mini triathlon, you can do that. And I think that's it for sport. And it's about exposure, so you can do whatever inspires and motivates you at the end of the day, which is different for everyone.
Have you been impressed with? You've been in the sport long enough to have a lot of people come up and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and nothing ever happens. But to see what the PTO, I've been impressed watching what the PTO has done in a really difficult time, helping fund the pros, making sure this event happens. What are your thoughts on what the PTO has been doing?
Yeah, I've been really impressed. I think we have to remember that really effectively it's kind of less than a year old. And, here we are putting on that it's quite possibly the most important triathlon event that's going on this year as part of a PTO event. Which is brilliant. And I think it's important for us all to congratulate everyone for what a massive achievement that is. And I think along with so many other things like obviously paying out the ranking money to support athletes through the time when there wasn't any racing going on, etc. Really important. And some of the really progressive
maternity leave and
policies
that
are coming out. Maternity leave, looking at experimenting with novel drug testing techniques, and various stuff. And I think that's it's brilliant, really positive, and look forward to seeing what the PTO where it evolves to in the next few years.
There's a lot of athletes who have great pro careers, and as soon as that last race is over, they're done, right? They're out of the sport. You see yourself as a guy who's going to be in this sport forever?
Yeah, I can't wait to retire from pro sport because I'm going to do all the events that I've not had chance to do.
What's out there that you want to do?
Everything from kind of extreme triathlon stuff like the Norseman type thing to Mont Blanc trail race. To
Some of the obstacle stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to climb. I've done a bit of mountain climbing, so I'd love to climb some big mountains, Everest and stuff.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and I grew up doing a lot of kind of mountain racing and cyclocross racing and stuff.
Yes.
So more of that back on the local scene again.
Love
So
it.
yeah, I'll probably be doing, hopefully, touch wood, I'll be doing a lot more competitive racing when I retire than I do at the moment.
I love it. Alistair, thanks so much for taking time, and have a great one. I'd love to see you win this thing this weekend.
Great, thank you very much.
Alistair Brownlee has been our guest, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Hold on, everybody. We will be right back.